we were talking one day playing golf, and we were talking about what's the secret in life, and I said, is never let the old man in.
At 94, Hollywood legend Clint Eastwood has shocked fans by revealing for the first time the one true love of his life. Having been through 2 marriages and fathered 8 children with 6 different women, Eastwood has always been an icon of both cinema and high-profile love affairs. But who touched his heart the most? From Clint Eastwood's emotional confession at the age of 94, people are even more curious about his complicated but memorable love journey. To understand why Eastwood calls someone the only love after nearly a century of life, we must first go back in time, back to the early years of insanity, when love, youth, and the first mistakes began to shape this man's heart. The early years, long before becoming Hollywood's tough guy, Clint Eastwood's romantic life began taking shape in the early 1950s. His pattern of complicated relationships started young, setting the stage for decades of entanglements that would follow. In May 1953, a 23-year-old Eastwood, fresh from military service, met Margaret Maggie Johnson through a blind date arranged by a friend in San Francisco. Johnson, then a student at the University of California, Berkeley, was immediately struck by the aspiring actor's appearance. "I came down the stairs of the sorority house, and Clint had his back to me. When he turned around, I was amazed at what he looked like. Plus, he was understated, and that kind of appealed to me," she later recalled. According to Eastwood himself, they hit it off right away. Nevertheless, what appeared to be a promising beginning carried complications from the start. Although they began discussing marriage that fall after Johnson graduated and moved near Eastwood in Los Angeles, he admitted feeling hesitant about the commitment. Despite these reservations, the couple married on December 19, 1953, just 6 months after their first meeting. Eastwood later described their first year together as terrible, confessing he still often wanted to do as he pleased regardless of his marital status. Furthermore, unknown to many at the time, Eastwood had fathered a child with another woman in Seattle while dating Johnson. According to biographer Patrick McGilligan, Eastwood had joined a little theater group in Seattle to please a girl he dug, and this unnamed woman became pregnant. Consequently, Lori Murray was born on February 11, 1954, less than 2 months after Eastwood's wedding to Johnson, and placed for adoption by her mother. The child was adopted by Clyde and Helen Warren of Seattle. Biographers disagree on whether Eastwood knew about the pregnancy. Some sources claim he discussed it with friends and family and handed money over to the woman, while others state he remained unaware of Lori's existence for decades. Remarkably, Lori discovered her biological father's identity approximately 30 years later, when she searched for her birth parents in the late 1980s. Upon learning about each other, father and daughter established a close relationship, sharing interests in golf and the outdoors. Throughout his marriage to Johnson, Eastwood continued his extramarital activities. Initially, he referred to this period as his married bachelorhood. Actress Mamie Van Doren reported having an affair with him during the summer of 1955 while working on Star in the Dust. Additionally, he supposedly had a tryst with pre-famed Jane Mansfield that fall. Johnson seemingly adopted a hands-off approach to her husband's wandering eye. In Clint Eastwood, a biography, their friend Fritz Maines revealed that Johnson once asked if he thought her husband was playing around. Maines admitted to lying to reassure her, with Johnson stating she preferred not to dwell on it. Years later, Eastwood told Playboy magazine that he believed Johnson was a woman who knows how much room I need. Notwithstanding these early troubles, the marriage would last over 2 decades and produce 2 children, Kyle in 1968 and Allison in 1972. However, the stage was already set for the complicated romantic entanglements that would define Eastwood's personal life for years to come. Clint Eastwood's youth was marked by impulsive choices and fleeting love affairs, but it was during this period that he entered into a surprisingly long-lasting relationship. After many short-lived relationships, who was the one who stuck with him the longest, even leaving an indelible mark with a child that had been hidden for many years? Roxanne Tunis and a hidden daughter. Among all Clint Eastwood's affairs, his relationship with Roxanne Tunis stands out as his longest extramarital entanglement, spanning an astonishing 14 years from 9. Their liaison represented a significant chapter in his complicated romantic history, one that would produce his first legally acknowledged child and remain hidden from the public eye for decades. The fateful meeting between Eastwood and Tunis occurred in 1959 on the set of the television western Rawhide, where Eastwood was cementing his status as a rising star. Tunis, a stuntwoman, actress, and dancer, was working on the show when their paths crossed. At the time, both were married to other people, Eastwood to Maggie Johnson and Tunis to Jack Watson Scheck Jr., the daughter of Latino immigrants Pietro Trinzo and Teresa Costa. Tunis quickly captured Eastwood's attention. According to insiders, they fell in love immediately. What began as on-set chemistry quickly evolved into something more significant, as Eastwood briefly separated from Johnson to pursue the relationship. Their affair was hardly a secret among their colleagues. As one source revealed, on the set they were very open about the fact they were lovers. After Clint would finish a scene, he'd amble over to Roxanne and stroll around the set with his arm affectionately around her. She was usually in his dressing room trailer. With Eastwood's influence, Tunis reportedly moved up from being an extra to securing bit parts in productions. In 1964, approximately 5 years into their relationship, Tunis gave birth to a daughter named Kimber. When Tunis informed Eastwood of her pregnancy, he reportedly told her he would not leave his wife to marry her. Instead, he promised to take good care of her and the baby financially, but requested total secrecy in return. Eastwood's full name, Clinton Eastwood Jr., appeared on Kimber's birth certificate, causing a minor scandal at the time. Interestingly, Eastwood later claimed he didn't know about Tunis's pregnancy and wasn't informed about the baby until a year after her birth. In Clint Eastwood, a biography, he described learning about Kimber as feeling like he got the wind knocked out of him. Following Kimber's birth, Eastwood made financial arrangements for her care, but reportedly only visited her every 3 or 4 months. Meanwhile, Tunis continued her relationship with Eastwood, visiting him on various film sets and at his office. Throughout their lengthy affair, Eastwood and Tunis maintained public discretion about their relationship outside of the Rawhide set. Kimber's existence remained largely unknown to the general public until July 1989, when the National Enquirer finally revealed her identity 25 years after her birth. The question of whether Johnson knew about Kimber remains somewhat ambiguous. Biographer Mark Elliott wrote that it would have been nearly impossible for her not to know, given that everyone on the set knew, and both mother and child lived in Hollywood. Furthermore, one source claimed Johnson had always known about Kimber, and even met Tunis in person during an unannounced visit to the set of Breezy. Actress Barbara Eden, who guest starred on Rawhide and witnessed the affair firsthand, later stated that Eastwood and Johnson conducted a somewhat open marriage. Indeed, Eastwood himself reportedly viewed his marriage as something to return to for a rest. The relationship between Eastwood and Tunis eventually ended in 1973. Nonetheless, they apparently maintained a healthy relationship until the end. Tunis, described by sources as one of Clint's true twos, passed away in August 2023 at the age of 93, following a brief illness. Her daughter Kimber confirmed her mother's death, closing the final chapter on what had been one of Eastwood's most significant romantic entanglements. After a long-running but secret relationship with Roxanne Tunis, Clint Eastwood embarked on a new chapter in his love life, this time more public and noisy than ever. It was a relationship with actress Sandra Locke, who not only accompanied him on many films, but also experienced years of passion, conflict, and ultimately bitterness. Is it true that publicity does not always mean happiness? And what caused this seemingly strong relationship to end in tears and litigation? Let's follow. The most public and painful love. Of all Clint Eastwood's romantic entanglements, none became as publicly contentious as his 13-year relationship with actress Sandra Locke. Their tumultuous affair would ultimately result in bitter legal battles that spanned nearly a decade. In 1975, Eastwood and Locke met on the set of The Outlaw Josie Wales and felt an immediate connection. It was just an immediate attraction between the two of us, Locke recalled. By 1976, they were living together, creating a complicated arrangement since both remained legally married to other people. Locke had been in a marriage of convenience since 1967 with Gordon Anderson, a gay sculptor, while Eastwood was still married to Maggie Johnson. The intensity of their relationship was apparent from the start. Locke claimed that Eastwood saying she made me monogamous to her and confided he had never been in love before. Throughout their relationship, they co-starred in 6 films together, including The Gauntlet, Every Which Way But Loose, and Sudden Impact. Essentially, their unconventional arrangement worked for years. I truly believe that Clint and I did not need papers to validate the commitments we had made to each other, Locke explained. The relationship collapsed acrimoniously in April 1989. Locke filed a palimony lawsuit after Eastwood changed the locks on their home and moved her possessions into storage while she was at work filming her second directorial feature. In court, Eastwood downplayed their relationship, describing Locke as a roommate before quickly amending it to part-time roommate. Coupled with her battle against breast cancer, requiring a double mastectomy, Locke fought Eastwood in court for 9. Subsequently, they reached a settlement in 1990 that included a $1.5 million development deal at Warner Brothers for Locke. However, this arrangement proved to be what Locke called a sham. She discovered that Eastwood had secretly financed the deal himself, with the studio rejecting all 30 projects she proposed. In 1996, Locke sued Eastwood again for fraud. Before the jury's verdict, they reached an undisclosed settlement. Specifically, Bill Brown, publisher of the Carmel Pinecone newspaper and Eastwood's golfing friend, revealed that Clint told me not too long ago that Sandra was the love of his life. Despite their public battles, the sentiment suggests deeper feelings than Eastwood admitted in court. Locke's 1997 memoir, The Good, the Bad, and the Very Ugly, detailed her perspective on their relationship. In it, she wrote, "I just feel like, oh my God, I've lost so much time." To clarify her intentions, she explained, "This was never about money. It was about my fighting for my professional rights." When Locke died in 2018, Eastwood, then promoting The Mule, never publicly mentioned her passing. After the turbulent years with Sandra Locke, Clint Eastwood seemed to start to change his perspective on love and long-term relationships. His later relationships were no longer so noisy and public, but showed a clearer desire for stability and peace of mind. After so many failures and hurts, has Eastwood found his resting place, and where did that journey lead him? The answer is more surprising than we think. The search for stability. Throughout the late 1980s and 1990s, Eastwood maintained his pattern of romantic partnerships in which he sought connection across a number of different relationships, frequently happening at the same time. During the time that Eastwood was still connected with Locke, he started an affair with Jocelyn Reeves, who became a flight attendant. Scott Eastwood, who was born on March 25, 1986, and Catherine Eastwood, who was born on February 2, 1988, were the 2 children who resulted from their private dating relationship. Interestingly, the words "father declined" were purportedly included on both birth certificates. In the aftermath of the breakup of their relationship, Jocelyn brought up the children in Hawaii. After some time, Scott relocated to California when he was a teenager to live with his father. Initially, he made an audition under the name Scott Reeves, but he was not accepted for any of his father's films. However, he was eventually cast in the film Gran Torino 2008, and after that he changed his surname to Eastwood. Catherine followed a career in acting and scripting, and she made an appearance in the film Jersey Boys 2014 with her father. At a pre-production party for the film Pink Cadillac in October 1988, Eastwood met actress Frances Fisher. This occurred at the same time as his affair with Reeves persisted. Love at first sight was how Fisher referred to the experience. By the year 1992, they were seen together at events with red carpets. The birth of their daughter Francesca, which took place on August 7, 1993, was the very first birth that Eastwood was there for. On the other hand, by late 1993, their relationship had already begun to crumble, in part because Fisher had discovered that Eastwood had children with Reeves. By 1995, they had completely severed their relationship. Fisher subsequently made the observation, "I believe when you have loved someone, if you don't destroy it with pettiness, then the love is always there." Dina Ruiz, a news presenter, was met by Eastwood during an interview in the year 1993. There was an image taken of them kissing at a golf event at the beginning of 1995. They tied the knot at the residence of their mutual friend Steve Wynn in March of. On December 12, 1996, the couple became parents to a girl named Morgan. Dina said that throughout their marriage, they were seldom separated for more than 10 days at a time. Furthermore, she used the phrase, "the least pretentious person I've ever met," to characterize him. Due to unfortunate circumstances, it was stated that their marriage ended in In October of 2013, Dina submitted her divorce petition, which was ultimately settled on December 22nd. After some time in July of 2016, she remarried Scott Fisher. After a series of relationships spanning decades, it seemed that Clint Eastwood would no longer seek a perfect love. However, in his old age, he unexpectedly found harmony and peace with Christina Sandera, the woman who silently accompanied him during the last decade of his life. Is it possible that, after all the failures and losses, this is the person who truly makes the Hollywood legend's heart flutter? And why does Eastwood call her the only love of his life? Let's explore the final chapter in his tangled relationships. The final and only true love. After decades of complicated liaisons, Clint Eastwood's final romance emerged as his most enduring. At age 84, the legendary actor-director found unexpected love with Christina Sandera, a relationship that would last until she died. The fateful meeting occurred in 2014 at the Mission Ranch Hotel and Restaurant in Carmel by the Sea, California, a property Eastwood himself owned. Sandera worked as a hostess at the establishment, which Eastwood had purchased back in 1986 and renovated into a luxurious resort. Their connection formed shortly after his divorce from Dina Ruiz was finalized. Unlike his previous whirlwind romances, this one developed quietly. She lives with him in his house he used to share with Dina. She moved in months ago, an insider revealed at the time. Eastwood's children approved, with sources noting, Clint's kids have all met Christina and like her. The kids all say she is normal. Throughout their 10-year relationship, Eastwood and Sandera maintained a notably private existence. Their first official public appearance came when Sandera accompanied Eastwood to the 2015 Academy Awards, where his film American Sniper received 6 nominations. Over the years, she occasionally joined him at premieres for films including Sully 2016, The Mule 2018, The 1517 to Paris 2018, and Richard Jewell 2019. Yet primarily they chose a peaceful life together in Carmel by the Sea, the small coastal town where Eastwood had formerly served as mayor. On July 18, 2024, Sandera died at age 61 from cardiac arrhythmia. Remarkably, in his grief, the typically reticent Eastwood issued a rare public statement. "Christina was a lovely, caring woman, and I will miss her very much." His daughter Morga also posted a tribute on Instagram, sharing a photo from her wedding featuring Eastwood and Sandera. "A devastating loss for our whole family," she wrote, adding, "Thank you, Christina, for being a good partner to my dad, who will be greatly missed." Eastwood had previously bestowed the title Love of His Life on Sandra Lott. Yet in his final years, he privately admitted that Sandra held that ultimate place in his heart. The stability and normalcy she brought to his life contrasted sharply with his earlier turbulent affairs. Altogether, their relationship represented something Eastwood had sought throughout his romantic journey: genuine companionship without drama or public spectacle. For a man whose prior relationships often ended in legal battles or public revelations, Sandera offered a peaceful haven in his twilight years. Do you think that, after all the ups and downs and fluctuations in love, what people are looking for is simply peace with someone who understands them? If it were you, would you believe in love in old age like Clint Eastwood and Christina Sandera? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting updates. Thank you and see you in the next videos.